Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. This is the preview for Manchester United against Copenhagen, our first game in the proper new knockout phases of the Europa League. Obviously, because of the coronavirus pandemic, because teams can't be flying in and out of countries, these games are being held in Germany. But it's United against FC Copenhagen in the last 8 in Cologne, and the winners will play Sevilla or Wolves in the semi-final. This is the first time FC Copenhagen have ever got to the quarter-final stage of a European competition, although it's not the first time Manchester United have ever met them in a European competition. We played them in 2006 in the group stages. They beat us in the last outing 1-0. I think United were through by that point, but United beat them at home 3-0. Ronaldo scored, I think, obviously, and John O'Shea, I remember scoring with a back heel, although I'm not quite sure he meant it, but still, it was one of those usual vintage Manchester United wins in the Champions League. And talking of the Champions League, United are back in the Champions League already, and it's kind of taken the edge or the pressure off Manchester United in this competition. Obviously, the last time that we won this competition under Jose Mourinho, we needed to win the competition. We needed to get this competition under our belt, not just for the trophy and completing the full set of trophies that Man United have won as a club throughout their history, but also to bring Champions League football. Now, we've already got Champions League football. We finished third in the season, and if we can add a trophy to that, I'd go as far as saying that this is probably the best season post Sir Alex Ferguson when you consider the direction that we've gone in, the progression that we've made throughout the season. And when we finished second under Jose Mourinho, we didn't win a trophy. And when we finished with the Europa League and the League Cup, we never finished in the top 4. So if you could get a trophy and finish in the top 3, I think that would probably be the best campaign that we've had since Sir Alex left. And you feel that the team is moving in the right direction. When you look at, our first 11 particularly, is quite strong. It's probably one of the strongest first 11s we've had since Fergie left. So you're looking at the club and we're moving in the right direction. But these games are coming at a weird time. There's players that need rests or have just come off the back of rest, so are needing to regain their match sharpness and their match fitness. There's players that haven't featured for United much for many times. Even if you think about the likes of McTominay and Fred, who were regulars for United before the coronavirus break, and since then, since with Pogba's return, Matic's return, obviously Bruno Fernandes playing, and that team playing week in week out, those guys weren't getting football. So you're looking around the squad and there's players that are struggling for minutes, struggling for form, struggling for fitness, and you're hoping all these guys can combine to send Manchester United through into the next phase. And that's part of me is what making me think actually Ole is going to take this game very, very seriously, because it's a trophy at the end of the day. Yes, we've already got Champions League football, but when you look at it and you think, all right, if it was 2 legs every game and then you've got long journeys and all this, that and the other, maybe you can think, you know what, we don't need to take this too seriously. But Ole knows him winning a trophy can put his feet more firmly under the table. It can help galvanise this team into pushing on next season. And also, he knows we get this Europa League break. So I think we will start to see more first 11 players coming into this starting lineup for this game. And I do think, Ole's been speaking in his press conferences ahead of the last game and all that as well. And he was saying, well, actually, we're taking this quite seriously. It's a trophy to win at the end of the day. And it's 3 games. Win 3 games, you've got a trophy under your belt. Now, obviously, Copenhagen isn't going to be easy. It gets more difficult after that with Sevilla or Wolves. And you're potentially looking at a final against Inter Milan or Bayer Leverkusen, which is a tricky final as well. If you get there, that's no disrespect to Shakhtar and Basel, but you would expect the winner of Inter Milan and Bayer Leverkusen to progress onto the final from that semi-final. So you're looking at it, and whilst it still be difficult to win it, it's just 3 games, and United have to be considered favourites for this tournament, I think. When you're looking at the players that we have, the quality of players that have, the form that we're in, and even maybe that pressure being off as well, we don't have to win it. We don't have to win it for Champions League football. So you're taking the pressure off arguably the best team left in the competition. And hopefully that means we can push on and do well. As for this game and the team news that's coming out of it, we're hearing that Luke Shaw and Axel Tuanzebe are the only players that are out. Obviously, Diogo Dalot was a shock omission from the team against LASK Linz. I put him on predicted 11. Many people thought that he should be starting, he would be starting, and he wasn't involved in the squad at all. And it was a little bit of a head scratcher because Diogo Dalot is a talented player. We know he's been linked with a move away from United, and potentially, to the likes of Barcelona, PSG. So there's some decent clubs looking at Diogo Dalot, but it came out that he was actually injured, and he wasn't training for the last week. He has now been pictured at training, as has Victor Lindelof, who I think was given an extended break, and may have had a little bit of a knock or a lack of fitness just before that last game. So Dalot and Lindelof are coming back into the match day squad, or at least the squad heading into the match day, and those guys will be competing. But Luke Shaw and Axel Tuanzebe are the only players that are out. And as we alluded to earlier, I do think Ole will try and push with a stronger team in this game in order to ensure that progression. He's going to take it as 3 games. I think he knows, we could probably get a little bit of a break. If we get to the semi-final, the final stages, we can get that break in hand after, and we start our Premier League campaign later. And I think, if you looked at big players, we saw Maguire start the other day, and I'm sure he had a hand in that. We saw Anthony Martial wanting to come off the bench to score a goal in a game that was pretty much meaningless. These big players are going to want to play in quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. And we already saw that Ole maybe doesn't trust some of these players. The likes of Mata, Pereira, who came on late in the game against LASK, Lingard. Does he trust these players? Daniel James, does he trust them? Does he want them to start in these big games? I think you've got to consider that as well. But I think we'll see a mix, to be honest with you. I think we'll see a mix. I wouldn't want to see Bruno Fernandes start. I think he deserves a bit of a rest. You think of the amount of games he was playing for Sporting, the amount of games he was playing for United. It was consistent football. And I think granting him a little bit longer of a break would be good for United to get a fresh Bruno Fernandes in that semi-final and final and heading into the new campaign would be good. And I think when you look at, McTominay and Fred, or 1 or 2 of them should be starting. So when you look at that, you think, okay, what about now Bruno or Pogba? I think we're going to see one of those come back into the team. Who needs it more? You'd argue Pogba needs to come back into the team more because of the fact that, he needs to regain his match sharpness, his match fitness. He'd just come back from an injury. He's not played much time, and he was playing consistently, like just game after game after game. So we need to try and rebuild him back up for the new season, I think, because he did look fatigued after that. And it looked like, maybe coming back from the injury, straight back into things after the coronavirus break, playing consistent almost 90 minutes every single game in the Premier League, fighting for big points as well. Probably took its toll on him. And now if we've given him that break, just ease him back into things in the first team. We've seen him come on towards the latter stages of the last game. Start him in this one, maybe take him off after 60 minutes. Give him 90 minutes in the semi-final if we get there. I think it'd be better to bed Pogba in that way, and it enables you to still give minutes to the likes of McTominay and Fred, who need them. And there's some players that still have a point to prove. Like, I think playing Mata in this game is worth it. I feel sorry for Mata sometimes. Like, he plays in games when he's got our lesser team around him. If you could play in a game with Rashford, Martial and Greenwood, I think you'd see a Juan Mata that's pulling at absolute strings. So I'd like to see Juan Mata in this team as well. He had 2 assists the other day. His pass for Jesse Lingard was fantastic. And then obviously he linked up with Anthony Martial. And I think Anthony Martial or Rashford will start in this game. 1 or 2 of them. I felt sorry for Igalo. He was getting into the positions where he should just get the cutback and he's got an open goal. And they weren't coming for him. But I do think we could see a change up top for this game. I keep talking about it. So let's get stuck into it. This is my predicted 11. Now let me just bring the graphic up. Here we go. So my predicted 11 is a mixture of the Cup team and United's first team. So I've gone with Romero, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Bailly and Williams. So Williams started the last game, Bailly started the last game, Maguire, Romero started. I brought in Wan-Bissaka at fullback in place of Timothy Fosu-Mensah. I don't think Timothy Fosu-Mensah has looked too bad when he has come on and when he has played games, especially considering how long he's been out injured. But I do think bringing in Wan-Bissaka may be the move from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Diogo Dalot, I know I want to see him start, but if he's just come back from injury and he's just training today, then is he going to be starting this game? Possibly not. So I'd go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I'd go with McTominay and Pogba in the midfield, or Fred and Pogba. I've opted for McTominay as I think he's probably a bit more, defensively sound than Fred. Fred's probably the one that's going to play that Pogba role. Obviously not as good as Pogba, but play that more attacking role out of those two. So I brought in Pogba for Fred. Then I've gone with Lingard and Mata, who were two of our best players against LASK. I thought Lingard was our man of the match. Mata got an assist, 2 assists, and I've brought in Rashford and Marshall. Although you could see Greenwood and Marshall start, I've gone for Rashford and Marshall. You've seen Marcus Rashford sitting on the bench, probably fuming a little bit in terms of not getting a chance to score against LASK. He probably felt like Martial, like if I get on, I'd score against this team. That's how all good strikers are now. Martial's on 23, Rashford's on 22. Healthy competition between them. You've seen Rashford's tweet today, and obviously those two are boys. They're not going to have that kind of petty rivalry, but there's clearly some healthy competition there. They both want to be top goal scorer for Man United, and I think starting them in this game could be the thing that wins it for us. McTominay, Pogba, Rashford, Marshall, Mata, Lingard. I think you've got the best of your second, your fringe, your bench players, and you've got your best of your first teamers. Obviously Bruno Fernandes, I think he deserves possibly another week off. In that defence, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Bailly, Williams and Romero in goal to keep his spot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kept his cards close to his chest, and obviously Romero usually starts in the Europa League and the cup competitions. David De Gea started in the FA Cup semi-final, made a big error or two in that game. So maybe Romero will be the one that gets an opportunity to prove his worth in this one as well. It's not to say I think Romero's got a chance of becoming Manchester United's number one, but I do think he's got a chance of keeping his spot in this team for the Europa League. Obviously he didn't have much chance with the goal against LASK Linz. It was a fantastic goal, but he could Ole could look at it and think, does De Gea come in the semi-final? If we get there, I'm not too sure, but obviously I've gone with Sergio Romero in net in this game. I think we'll see this kind of team, a few of those first teamers coming back into the 11 and a few of the fringe players keeping their spot in the team as well. Maguire looks like he's just going to start every single game unless one of his legs are hanging off. So it looks like Harry Maguire is going to be in the team for this one. He's your captain, do you know what I mean? He probably sets the tone a lot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't really had chance to test out many of his other centre-halves. Axel Tuanzebe's been injured. Lindelof's been hit and miss as well. You could say Lindelof was better than Maguire after the pandemic break, but before that, Maguire was the better of the two. So he's not really had chance to test out much of his centre-halves. Hopefully Eric Bailly can get an extended run in the team, because if Eric Bailly gets an extended run in the team, you guys have already heard my opinion on him. I think Eric Bailly can become Manchester United's one of the main centre-halves alongside Harry Maguire. There's a lot of talk about us signing someone, but if Eric Bailly can stay fit for a whole fucking season, or at least this Europa League campaign, and show to Ole that, I'm ready to fight for a spot, and then in the next campaign, hopefully stay fit, fight for a spot in the team. If we're in the Champions League, that's a big opportunity, because obviously there's going to be a little bit of rotation, and Ole's going to want to know that he can rely on the people that he is rotating with as well. If we're playing Maguire and Lindelof in the league, Maguire and Bailly in the Champions League, he's going to want to rely on you to be able to deliver in the big games. And this is a big game. Obviously, it's not the Champions League. You kind of feel like, oh man, I don't want to be in this competition anymore because we're already in the Champions League. But with it just being 3 games to go to win a trophy, you have to be well up for it. That game against LASK was pointless, but this game isn't. This game isn't pointless. A big opportunity for United, and if we didn't beat FC Copenhagen, we'd be supremely disappointed. They had a great time out against Istanbul Başakşehir last time. I thought they looked really good, scoring 3 goals, keeping a clean sheet, obviously overturning the 1-0 deficit from the first leg. They've got a familiar face in Guillermo Varela, who used to play for Manchester United. You remember him? Highly rated fullback. He had an assist the other day as well, whipping it into the box with a great delivery to open the scoring for them. And they do look like a team that's confident. They finished second in the Danish Superliga to Midtjylland. You remember Midtjylland? That's when Rashford came through and all that. They're a team that's used to winning. They're a team that are, a competitive team, but they're a team Manchester United should be beating at the same time. I feared Istanbul a little bit more, maybe, especially if it would have been a home and away game. But with this, neutral venue, Man United against Copenhagen, quarter-final. We play a few more of our first team players. We play a few more of those players that, mean business, the Pogbas, Rashford, Marshalls, or even, Bruno, Greenwood and Marshall, or something like that. I think just reintroduce a few of those. Reintroduce Wan-Bissaka at fullback. You don't have to go changing the whole thing, because we don't want to get any injuries as well. You play your full strength 11 and you get an injury before the new campaign starts. You don't want that to happen. And this allows for rotation. You can take Rashford off, bring Greenwood on. You can take Marshall off, bring Igalo on. If the game's wrapped up with 65 minutes on the clock, maybe that's just wishful thinking, but I think it allows for rotation, and it also allows for you to play a strong 11 in the game. But I think we'll see that from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer start to return to a stronger 11 as we hopefully progress through the competition, because we can't write Copenhagen off. It's a one-off game as well, and they'll be fancying themselves. We've seen United in some games, we start slowly, and if we start slowly, Copenhagen hit Istanbul early, got that goal. Istanbul didn't know what was going on now. Obviously, we're better than Istanbul, but nevertheless, they hit them early, they got that goal and they capitalised on it. And if they can get an early goal in this tie, 90-minute game, United haven't got a second leg to rescue it. We haven't got, to go to Old Trafford in front of our fans. So, they'll probably be fancying this as well. It's over one leg. They're going to be fancying it. As for the rest of the Europa League, you look at Sevilla, Wolves. I think that's a massive game. Inter Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, Basel, Shakhtar Donetsk as well. We'll play the winners of Wolves or Sevilla. I think Sevilla might win that game, but Wolves or Sevilla would be a tricky tie for Manchester United. And I've kind of fancied Bayer Leverkusen in this game against Inter Milan. I don't think Inter looked great against Getafe. Getafe scored their penalty. They probably would have, potentially surprised a lot of people and knocked Inter Milan out. Obviously, they missed that penalty in to go right up the other end and score. Obviously, they're a threat. Romelu Lukaku is always going to be a goal-scoring threat, and a difficult player to mark. But you'd fancy United against Inter, Bayer, Wolves, Sevilla in a one-off game. You'd fancy us against them. So we have to treat this one seriously. But also, I think we have to protect a few of our other players as well. The likes of Bruno Fernandes, maybe. Nemanja Matic. Is there any need to play them overly? I don't think there is. So looking forward to this one. I'm going for a 3-0 win for Man United. I think Copenhagen will come into it a little bit confident after that Istanbul game, and it could, be their undoing. In that United might have a few gaps there to exploit. Varela likes to get forward. We know how much he likes to get forward, and if Martial or Rashford or whoever picked there, Jesse Lingard or Mata, whoever's in those wider positions, they can exploit those gaps that are left. I think United will have a good time, but Martial and Rashford just look like they're going to score every single time they play, and I fancy if one of them plays, we'll win. And with someone like Pogba coming into the team, he looked like he was getting his bearings and getting his himself back together in that game against LASK. I think will be a big threat in this competition. So looking forward to this one. Roll on Monday night. Remember, we'll have reaction here on AdamMcKola TV. We'll also have the watch along on Stretford Paddock, so make sure you're joining us for that. The fan cams, all that good stuff, where hopefully United will be sealing their place in the semi-finals of the Europa League in Cologne. Until next time, I have been AdamMcKola. You lot have been legend. Make sure you're keeping it locked. I'm out of here.